That's pretty beast.
Okay. AP, this is on you, but you don't know how yet. We have a tweet from the Thinking Atheist. So you know it's totally going to be brilliant because, one, he's an atheist, so you know he's all about science.
Yeah.
But he has specified that he is the Thinking Atheist. And if we know anything about the atheist channels, as long as you have thinking, rational, or skeptic in your name, in your brand name, we know you're super smart and super based.
That's Seth Andrews you're talking about, man. Have some respect.
That's who this is? That's who the Thinking Atheist is? So here's the tweet today, AP.
Yes.
This is from the Thinking Atheist at Thinking Atheist. And he's responding to and refuting the arguments of theists. And so he refutes the cosmological argument, which, as he has listed it here, here's the cosmological argument, ladies and gentlemen. It goes like this. Everything has a creator. That's premise one. Premise one is everything has a creator. Premise two is God is that creator. And then I don't know if this is supposed to be another premise or the conclusion, but God does not have a creator. And then he responds, your solution fails when it violates its own premise. Okay, so I guess the conclusion, which he's calling the solution, God does not have a creator, fails because it violates its own premise. The premise is that everything has a creator. Now, pop quiz for everyone who's watching. Everyone who's watching. Is there a fallacy in the Thinking Atheist's response? If so, what is that fallacy? Keep your pie hole shut, AP. Testing everyone.
I'm gonna blurt it out. No. Okay.
All right. We're going to see if people... we should go through fallacies regularly. Not all of them, because lots of... there are tons of fallacies. You don't need to know all of them. You don't need to know most of them. But there are I would say 5 to 7 fallacies that everyone needs to know because they keep happening over and 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 over again.
You know what? I think fallacy would be a nice name for a girl.
Yeah. Why doesn't this guy change his name to the fallacious atheist?
Fallacia. That's also a good name.
Hey, no, it wouldn't be. Quit being weird. All right, guys. So what's the fallacy here? Stepping into Grace says, yes, there is a fallacy. There is a fallacy. We've got Ryan Kim here saying, straw man from hell.
Yeah, the very first line is fallacious. The very, very first line, without even getting to anything else.
Yeah. So to be clear, you're not saying the cosmological argument is fallacious. You're saying that the Thinking Atheist is fallacious in his representation of it, right?
Yeah, I would say that that the way this is represented, the first line here is already misrepresenting the argument for God.
Yeah, guys. So this is called a straw man. Straw man fallacy is where you don't actually attack the person's actual argument. You misrepresent what the argument is and then attack your own misrepresentation. So, matter of fact, here, yeah, a lot of people have seen it. Someone else says straw man. At least, yes, it's at least a straw man. In other words, you could point out other problems with this, but that would be the main one. The main one. In other words, I'll give you an example. I've seen hundreds of times. I've seen Muslims like in comments and so on, but I've even seen Muslims who are presenting and arguing things, and even in debates occasionally, you'll have Muslim dawah guys, and they'll say, hey, I asked my Christian friend why he believes that Jesus is God. And the Christians say, because Jesus has no father, so Jesus must be God. And when the Christian says that Jesus must be God because he has no father, I say, ha ha, but Adam had no father. And then all the Muslims go, oh, alhamdulillah, so brilliant, such a brilliant refutation, so powerful. And what's the problem? The problem is I've never heard any Christian in my life make that claim.
Yeah.
It's a made-up claim, right? We have actual arguments for the deity of Christ. You make up a fake argument for the deity of Christ, and then you respond to your own fake argument that no Christian has ever used, and you say, "Ha, I've refuted their case." That's a straw man. So think about an actual straw man instead of like in a battle or a fight or something like this, you went out and fought someone or attacked someone or something like that. But instead of doing that, you like built a man out of straw that kind of looked like the guy you're attacking, and then recorded a video of yourself attacking what kind of looked like this guy, but it's an actual man made of straw. You're not attacking your actual opponent. That's what the straw man fallacy is. And so what's the problem with this? Starts off, his representation of the cosmological argument is
it's also the thing about Jesus and the response from Muslims is also that you could say that on a level, so Jesus not having a father but a mother, a mother but no father, no human father, could be considered a hint at the divinity of Jesus or his sonship, the Son of God. However, you can't compare that to Adam and Eve. that's false equivalent. Adam would have no father and no mother. It's because he's the first human. That's not the same thing.
There was no one else. There was no one else to produce him. Then Eve, if God is going to create Eve, you either create from Adam or you create Eve separately and so on. By the time you get to Jesus, you have a perfectly normal method of reproduction and so on. And so the question would arise, so you can connect all this in Christian theology to the deity of Christ, but to act like that's our argument and that this is the refutation of the argument, it's all a straw man. Like this, saying that the cosmological argument begins with everything has a creator. What's the problem with this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've never heard anyone start off a cosmological argument with everything has a creator. No, there's two problems with it. One, you'd say it's not everything has a cause, and it's not everything has a creator. There are two problems in there. One, a typical cosmological argument would start with something like, everything that begins to exist must have a cause. You wouldn't even say creator at that point. You'd have to argue that it's a creator, because a creator is a personal agent. It's someone doing it. Things can be caused without actually being caused by a person, a creator. You'd have to make that argument. So the actual argument would start with something like, everything that begins to exist must have a cause. Premise two would be, the universe began to exist, and then the conclusion, therefore the universe has a cause. And so you'd make that argument, and then once you conclude that the universe has a cause, you'd start making an argument about what the cause of the universe has to be like, and you'd have to argue that it would be a creator. But that would be the actual argument. Here, starting off with, this is what the theists say. They say everything has a creator, but I can refute it by saying, does God have a creator? You would have to say. Guys, this is embarrassingly terrible, obvious straw man. And the disturbing part is that, look at the bottom, 1,800 likes, 1,800 likes of that. In other words, there were 1,800 people say, whoa, great refutation of people who believe in God, and start arguing by saying everything has a creator, which again, I've never heard anyone start with. In other words, if a Christian were to present that argument, other Christians would say, hey, you can't start off your argument with everything has a creator. That's assuming a bunch of things that you're ultimately trying to prove. And what's amazing is after all these years, these are still like common. It's still common to see this. And hey, check this out. So this channel, The Thinking Atheist, very popular. Look at this. 117.2 thousand followers. What kind of people would follow that? Hey, look at that. Followed by Mrs. Apostate, Repentant, and Ridvan Idemir Apostate. Oh my goodness. This is how you knew who this guy was, Seth Andrews. You knew it as soon as I said thinking atheist. You're like, I only know one thinking atheist, and that's Seth Andrews.
Exactly like that. No, but I know the guy, and I also had a conversation with him a long time ago. He's actually a very, very nice person. Very nice person.
What's up with these very nice people who are, I'm the skeptic of this, and I'm the thinking this, and the rational this, and you say, okay, why don't you go ahead and respond to some arguments, and they completely misrepresent the arguments. What's going on with that, AP?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's weird. What I don't understand is, like,
they're very fine people on both sides. So
again, yes, it is. Again, if you're claiming to be the champions of reason and logic and science and so on, you say, okay, respond to your opponent's argument, and that's what you say. You instantly launch into logical fallacies and so on. Like, how do you with a straight face say you're the champion of reason and logic after that? I don't know, because I mean, that's pretty. If I saw that from a regular atheist with 2 followers who is like a 14-year-old, I would still think that's bad. For a popular atheist to say it, I can't say it's weird because I see it all the time. I think it's weird that I see it all the time.
I just find it offensive when people claim to be the champion of reason and logic, because I am the champion of reason and logic.
Yeah, I know. We are.
Yeah, true.